back with another one, man. This time we're doing an Iron Man comic, Iron Man full story comic reaction, man. It isn't by, I think it is. No, it's did by, I don't know yet. I ain't watch it yet, so I don't know if it's done by Benny. Wait, give me a second. Give me a second.
The comic Storian.
Yeah, okay. It's done by Benny's new guy, the guy in charge for Benny channel. Shout out to him, man. Shout out to that guy, man. Much respect, much love to him, man. And RP Benny, man. From 1984, man, 2024, man. In loving memory, man. Rest in peace, man. The GOAT, the legend himself, man. The GOAT, man. We in here, man. Let's go. In loving memory, man. Forever and always.
Full story series where we take a collection of complete stories and put them together in one long video to give you a better viewing experience. Iron Man, The Books of Korvac by Christopher Cantwell is a 19-issue series from 2020 about Tony Stark going back to the basics, stepping down from his company, getting a brownstone in Lower Manhattan, and just trying to rebuild his public image with Hellcat by his side, until an old Avengers villain resurfaces with his eyes set on the power cosmic. Today's full story is one that I recorded over a year ago, and only half of the story ever made it to the channel, and so it went unreleased until today, as I bring it to you in one big brand new full story. I hope you enjoy. The window of the store shatters outwards as Iron Man flies Terrax through it. He flies him up into the sky, only half paying attention as he orders Boss, his AI, to sell off all of his stock in Stark Unlimited. "Who are you even talking to?" Terrax asks, just as Tony flies him through a satellite into space. Later that night, Tony is checking Twitter to find out that a lot of people are upset that he knocked out their internet and satellite TV. "Seriously?" Tony asks as he glances at his phone. Now that Tony is back, he's trying once again to find who he is, selling his stocks, his home, his vast cars, and collection of Iron Man suits. He moves to New York, where he buys a large brownstone and moves in. But he looks around at his barely furnished apartment and sighs. He walks over to the window, where he discovers Janet Van Dyne hovering outside. "Nice place. I just wanted to tell you face to face that I've moved on. I think it's what's best," she tells him. Tony nods, "I agree," and tells her to take care. That night, he takes his new car, a 1978 Dodge Aspen, to Amsterdam Avenue, hoping to open it up and race a little. "Where do I put my name in?" he asks as he pulls up. But the racers aren't having it, thinking he's a cop. "I'm not a cop, I'm just a dumb rich guy with $5 to lose," he says. The racer cocks an eyebrow and looks over his shoulder. "Somebody get Halcyon over here. Tell him he's got a heat," the racer shouts. Tony waits as Halcyon walks up. "Hi," Tony says. But the others laugh and tell him that Halcyon's deaf. Halcyon smiles and makes a sign, but Tony doesn't understand. He says to get ready to see taillights, the other racers inform him. The race begins and is over in only a matter of moments, with Tony trying his hardest to pull ahead, but Halcyon barely reacts and races fast and cool. "Kid's ice cold," Tony notes afterwards as Halcyon counts his money. "Doesn't even flinch. You ever want to waste another $5,000? We'd be glad to have you back," the other racers say. That night, Tony has a gathering of rich people at his apartment. Witter isn't happy, and Tony has to move through his own guests, trying to avoid everyone asking him for donations or investments. He pushes through until he pauses as he sees an old friend. Gosh, if they could touch the hem of Tony Stark's garment, Patsy Walker says with a smile. They talk for a moment, with Patsy asking what is going on with Tony.
Why is every love interest in Marvel shorter with red hair? Oh, am I bugging, bro? Like you don't really like notice like the superheroes, the girls they really fuck with, like the girls they really like, all got red hair. You feel me? And they all like red hair, bro. Like you know what's crazy with that, bro? I think the only superhero that really fuck with a black woman, right? It's the Thing, bro. The thing copped him a black queen, man, a chocolate queen, man. Shout out to the Thing, man. That's that. But you know he from the Bronx, so you already know how they feel about their chocolate queens, man. You feel me? But dang, that's crazy. But she looks just like Mary Jane, and other dude, hell, not even just Marvel. I was gonna say Aquaman girl got red hair, but like okay, that's one. But like particularly in Marvel, bro, a lot of it look like shorty ass, bro. I never noticed that till now.
Reminding him that I'm one of the ones who knew you when you were just a guy with a neat metal suit, she tells him. Maybe I'm just trying to be that guy again, he explains to her. But the two are interrupted by another, Fuller Tylerd, a scientist who tells Tony that he is working on a sustainable energy source that could change the world. Tony pauses for a moment before asking the man to go on. Fuller tells Tony that he has perfected lightning capture and asks him to call about it later. Anyway, you wanted to show me something? Patsy asks as the pair turns away from Fuller. Tony leads her down into the garage, where he shows her the classic Iron Man armor that he has created. Well, what do you think? He asks after putting it on, and she smiles at him. Are you kidding? I love vintage clothing, she says. He suggests that they ditch the party and head out for a superhero team-up. What about your guests? Patsy asks. Tony looks at her and explains that he set an EMP to go off in his building and fry all of their electronics. Ah, now I understand the invite list, she says with a smile. So the two head out into the city. While standing atop one of New York's tall buildings, Tony explains to Patsy that he's trying to find himself, trying to figure out who he is. Maybe you need to be no one at all, she suggests, explaining to him that his new humility is just his ego in different clothing. But their talk is interrupted as they both notice a helicopter on top of a nearby library. As they go to check it out, they are surprised to find the unicorn escaping the building with a stolen book. That looks like a reference text. I don't think you can check that out, Tony tells him as he and Patsy appear before Unicorn. The criminal doesn't hesitate. I only serve the other, he shouts before lashing out at Tony. Does the other not have his own library card? Tony asks as he fires a beam. Hellcat moves in to punch Unicorn in the face, but the criminal turns and blasts her with energy. Tony grabs Unicorn from behind, but is hit with another shockwave of energy that throws him away. The criminal boards his helicopter and begins to fly away. But Tony leaps into the air and flies through the propeller, downing the chopper into the street below. As Unicorn crawls from the wreckage, he is still struggling to hold onto the book. Tony takes it from his hands and opens it. It's a Gutenberg Bible, Tony says with surprise. Unicorn looks up at him. The other will seek vengeance upon you, he begins to say, but Hellcat is there and kicks him in the face. She stands over the unconscious villain, surprised by his holy speech. You think he's really hearing things or just nuts? She asks. Tony shakes his head, telling her that Bellevue will have to figure it out. Elsewhere, Dr. Fuller stares out the window into the night. 1 year ago, the new android that would become Fuller Tylerd was awakened by Dr. Zoda. Please, call me by my real name. Korvac, the android says. Zoda created the android to aid the Enclave, but Korvac has no interest in this. I have bigger plans, and I must begin immediately, Korvac says as he walks from the room. Present day. Iron Man is thrown back against the ropes as Carl Creel rushes forward and grabs him, throwing him to the ground. The two of them have been captured by Arcade and are being forced to fight for the internet's sick amusement. Sorry, man, but if taking you out gets me home to my wife, Titania, I gotta do it, Creel says as he leans in. No worries. Though, maybe we should consider a different way to handle, Tony begins to say, but Creel grabs him again and throws him across the ring. Iron Man lands and hits him with a laser blast before flying into him. The two continue to fight around the ring, and Tony is knocked down. The ref steps up and begins to count, with Tony realizing that Arcade would be close by to watch the action. He whirls and grabs the ref by the shirt, reaching up and ripping away his mask to reveal Arcade's smiling face. Later, Tony is sitting on the floor of his brownstone, complaining to Patsy about how the internet thinks he only ended the fight because he was gonna lose. Tony, why does that even matter? Patsy asks him. Tony has to think about it for a moment before answering. It doesn't, but, I mean, he begins to say, but she stops him and tries to lead him through a Zen meditation breathing exercise, where he's supposed to calm his mind and not think about anything.
Bro, don't know about... Here's the funny thing about Iron Man, right? Bro, he only go through hard shit, right? He really go through it the most, bro, when he try to live a humble life, bro. Bro, when this nigga's an everyday asshole, a dickhead, flexing his money, bro, his life go good, bro. Everything in life go good, bro. But the moment he be like, you know what, man? I'm finna be nicer, more respectful, bro. I'm finna just sell everything, bro. Fuck the company, bro. Fuck the money, man. I'm just finna live a straight life, bro, of humbleness, bro, an everyday life, bro. Bro, that's when life really fucked this nigga up, bro. Bro, I ain't gonna lie, it's like the universe refused to let him live at peace, bro. You feel me? The universe is like, bro, what the fuck? You don't want to be a fucking billionaire no more. I got something for your ass. You want to be God's strongest soldiers? You want to turn over a new leaf? I got something for your ass, bro. Like, there's not one story or one incident of this motherfucker, like, selling his company to live a humble, normal life, and that shit went well, bro. That shit went well. Look at his face, bro. He like, bro, none of this shit was happening, bro, when I was full-time Iron Man, bro, working for my company, bro, in an Avengers, bro. I was just at my peak. Peak me, bro. None of this shit never happened, bro. When my life was at its fullest, bro. When I was getting billions, bro, none of this shit happened, bro. I was never kidnapped and brought to an underground fighting arena, bro. It was never something after something after something after something, bro. The world never hated me, bro, until I decided to live a humble life. Yeah, bro. That's all his stories, bro. That sums up all Iron Man comic book stories, bro.
But breathing. But Tony can't get the hang of it, and finally just
Can't get the hang of
stops.
breathing.
Creel was the bad guy. Why does everyone root for the bad guy now? Tony asks her as he paces the room. She finally asks him, what is he trying to prove? That I'm still a hero, he tells her. Who do you need to prove that to? She asks. Tony looks out the window, trying to think of an answer. But the Iron Man helmet begins to beep from the bed. He puts on the helmet to answer the call, learning that 6 pharmaceutical scientists were kidnapped by Cardiac. He explains it to Patsy quickly. He said he's going to kill them because of Tony Stark, of course. I could use your help. Tony blasts across the city, approaching Cardiac fast and blasting him with repulsor beams. The criminal stands before a massive black orb. I've got him. Seems very supervillain, Tony reports to Patsy. Is this all because I support Big Pharma? Tony asks as he blasts Cardiac again. With Cardiac down, Tony scans the orb and learns that the scientists are trapped inside and will die of asphyxiation in 4 minutes. Tony tries to blast the orb, but it does nothing. They have to die, Stark. A message has to be sent. Our healthcare system is a crime, Cardiac says as he struggles to his feet. But Hellcat...
Is he really a villain? Trying to fight Big Pharma, bro? Like trying to expose the sick, evil, twisted ways of health providing this shit, bro. Is he really evil, bro? For trying to send a message, bro? For trying to get change out of that shit, bro? Trying to force that shit to change? Is he really the villain, bro? Like, you do gotta crack a few omelets. You do gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet, bro. What if by him killing those six scientists, bro, that he actually changes and improves the medical system in America, bro? Will you not let those six people die for that? Or will you let billions be in debt, life ruined, and fucked over for forever? Or you could change all of that by letting six people die. That's the thing with superheroes, bro. They don't see the bigger picture, bro. I mean, I would have told her, I would say, okay, tell me your plan. And if your plan makes sense, bro, like 100% sense, like, okay, that shit can really happen, hey, man, I'm going to be like, I can't let you do that. I'm going to fight you, lose on purpose, and let you do what you got to do. You feel me? But if it don't make sense, I'm going to beat your ass and slay them folks. You got to make sense, bro, or your ass going to get your ass beat, bro.
Leaps up behind him and kicks him down. Tony flies away, knowing that he only has one choice. Boss, is this far enough back? He asks. The AI confirms that Tony will be able to reach maximum suit velocity, but then begins to list off the probable injuries from hitting the orb at full speed. But Tony doesn't listen and rockets forward, punching at the orb with full speed and breaking it open. He hangs there, the arm of his suit mangled as he gasps for air. Am I dying? Am I dead? He gasps to Patsy. Later, Patsy sits with Tony in the hospital, yelling at him for his reckless behavior and realizing that he is trying to kill himself in a heroic...
That's what I'm saying, bro. Look at the title. Cardiac, crazed killer or healthcare vigilante. Is he a psychopath or is he what we need in the world?
Fashion so that his life will be simpler. But their argument is interrupted as the alarms begin to ring through the hospital. Hellcat walks forward to find that the unicorn has broken free. She rounds a corner to have him punch her in the face and knock her to the ground. I am a servant of our true God. I hear him everywhere. He calls me on the electricity. Unicorn shouts as he stands over her. Later, 42 miles outside of Canaan, Oklahoma, Unicorn runs through the plains as a storm rages above. It's me! I'm here! I come to serve! He shouts to the sky. Lightning crashes from the sky and strikes him. In New York, Iron Man hovers over the city that he has chosen to call his home. He flies down and gets to work, finding criminals and saving the day. He tries to be a hero of the people, at one point landing amongst a group of school kids to hang out. But the teachers come out telling Iron Man that he is disrupting the kids' learning and that he shouldn't be doing this. And with a sigh of frustration, Tony flies away. That night, he returns to the brownstone to find the melter has broken into his garage and melted his new car. I melted your car, the melter says with a smile. I can see that, Tony responds. He walks forward and knocks the melter out, picking up the
That's the thing, bro. That's the thing about Marvel characters and like DC characters, right? Marvel characters ain't no bitch, bro. Marvel characters ain't no bitch, bro. You know, let me explain what I say that, bro, versus DC characters, right? Bro, everybody in Marvel except Spider-Man has their identity out in the open, bro. 80% to 90%, well, 90% of known superheroes have their identity out in the open, bro. The only people who don't have their identity open is the Spider-Man and people with, like, the spider community, bro. Like, everybody with Spider-Man powers. Like, that's the mytho. That's one of the things that makes Spider-Man Spider-Man, bro. Him never revealing who he is more iconic than, it's more of a staple than great power comes great responsibilities. You feel me? Because there'll be other stories where Peter, Miles, and other variants of Spider-Man, right, may go against that code. You feel me? But one thing that would never change, no matter if it's a good Spider-Man, evil Spider-Man, different universe timeline, is that they would never reveal their identity. You feel me? That's one of the things that's stuck in the mythos forever. What I'm trying to say is, right, besides Spider-Man, bro, everybody in Marvel, all the heroes, bro, who they really is under that suit, or hell, a lot of them don't even wear suits or masks. A lot of them let them know, like, bro, the whole world know who they is, bro. The villains know who they are. They're not ducking no fade. That's why I put Marvel over DC, bro. Niggas in Marvel ain't ducking no fade. Nigga, Iron Man ain't ducking no fade. Not only do you know who the fuck I am, bro, I'm on every social media, every platform. My house is the biggest building in New York, in the world. In any place of the world I decide to put a building at, bro, it's the biggest. You feel me? Like, you can pull up for the smoke. Iron Man, the only motherfucker I know, bro, that tell the villains to pull up for the smoke, bro. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. He want the villains to pull up. Bro, Captain America, all they ass, bro, the Fantastic Four, too. They ain't doing no secret identity, bro. They got the second biggest building, or the first, or the second most notorious building in New York, bro. The Bastille building, bro. The ops know what that is, bro. The ops don't come. The ops know. Nobody in DC is like that, bro. Nobody in DC has their location on, bro. Nobody in DC has their location on. Nobody in DC has their identity out in the open. None of them, bro. I know you like what Aquaman do. Well, Aquaman lay his head in the middle of the fucking ocean, bro. In a city hinting for civilization, bro. Oh, Wonder Woman, bro. Wonder Woman do have her no identity, right? But the thing about Wonder Woman is, right? Wonder Woman's a good one. I ain't gonna lie to you. She's a good one, bro. But where the fuck did she sleep at? Not even time. Wonder Woman also played a role of, like, I don't know if they still do it. I think they stopped doing that shit a long time ago. Where it has a human identity type shit. But, like, the thing about Wonder Woman is, right? She don't have no villains, bro. Wonder Woman don't have no fucking road that gallery, bro. She may have a villain, but she don't have villains, bro. Besides Cheetah and Hades, she don't got no villains, bro. And Hades not even a villain. You feel me? So she don't got no villain, bro. For like, she can walk around with no identity. You feel me? She don't got no fucking like Superman, bro. Who got like Brainiac, hate his ass. Darkseid, you got Bizarro, you got motherfucker that's equally as strong as you, bro. Wonder Woman don't got that, bro. She don't got no villain, bro, that's equally as strong as her, bro. They can fight like her. And she don't got no love, you feel me? So that shit don't matter. You feel me, bro? Marvel different, bro. Marvel, them niggas in Marvel different, bro. And they not hiding behind no godlike power. That's another thing, right? Bro, they're not hiding behind no godlike powers, bro. They're not like, all right, man, I know I'm the strongest, fastest thing walking, bro, so it don't matter if I show you who I am or not. I'm going to beat your ass. No, these are street-level characters, bro. Tell a motherfucker, pull up for the smoke. A lot of these motherfuckers don't even got superpowers for real. You feel me? And they tell them superpowered people, hey, you got a problem with me, come pull up. Hey, different, bro.
Criminal's body,
Marvel's
he flies him
bro.
out of the building and high up into the air. For a moment, he looks around the city before dropping the melter, who begins to plummet to the ground below. Tony watches him for a moment, wondering if the villains and criminals realize that the heroes could kill them at any time, but don't. That they choose to follow the rules of society. Finally, Tony blasts down and catches the melter before he can hit the ground. Later, Tony and Patsy have flown out to the Tyler Lightning site, where Tony has decided to invest in Fuller's work. Tony arrives in his Iron Man armor and is greeted by Dr. Tyler as he comes out. Mr. Stark, welcome! I was worried you were going to miss the fireworks. Didn't know you were going to show up in full accoutrement, Fuller says in a greeting. Tony floats in front of him. Apologies, Fuller. The suit will afford me a closer look at my investment without getting fried. After Tyler gives Tony some of the specs on his devices, Tony leaps into the air and begins to inspect it, and the storm begins to rage overhead. Tony looks at the lightning rods, noting that the Stark logo has been covered. Does the Stark name embarrass you that much? Tony asks Fuller over the radio. There's a momentary pause. Well, as much as I appreciate your financial support over these months, unfortunately, our partnership has to end here, Fuller says. And Tony is confused. I can't have this traced back to me, Fuller continues. A bolt of lightning crashes from the sky and slams into Tony's back, knocking him into the ground where he bounces along the earth. He struggles to look up, his suit already malfunctioning. Apologies, Tony. You're a good man, but my disciples and I have a higher purpose, Fuller says, now surrounded by 3 supervillains. With the power I'll pull from this planet, I'll become a demigod. But being a demigod is just a means to an end. I plan to be a god, Fuller says. But Patsy suddenly comes flying out of the storm in a Jeep, slamming it into the collection of villains. God, I hate men pontificating in the rain, she shouts. She jumps out and helps Tony to his feet. I told you this was a bad investment, Tony gasps. He whirls and fires a blast at Controller. Good to see you haven't been moisturizing, Tony jokes as Hellcat whirls and kicks Blizzard. The fight continues until Fuller reappears, hitting both heroes with a blast of electricity that throws them both to the ground. Both heroes don't move, and the villains disappear. The suit restarts Tony's heart, and he struggles to his feet, pulling Patsy's body to him and cradling it in his arms. It's all my fault.
Oh, yes, he definitely died.
He says.
Oh, yes, he died? How do you kill somebody in a heartwarming story, bro? This is not even like no dramatic ass story. This is like, damn, what what Iron Man been doing ever since he decided to step down. Bro, it's not even a crazy fucking story, bro. And you killed somebody, bro. That's fucking crazy.
Patsy sits in Tony's brownstone, staring at the wall, but she can hear the voice now. The same voice as the others that follow Korvac. Outside, reporters are asking Tony questions, wondering whether he is looking for James Rhodes, who has gone missing. Tony walks into the room, glancing at his friend. Patsy, are you all right? He asks. She looks up as if she didn't even notice him, and says that she's fine. He nods,
bro,
telling her.
I hate that shit, bro. In TV shows, movie, comic books, I don't give a fuck real life. I hate when somebody has something seriously going on, right, and a motherfucker they should go tell, they be like, nah, it's nothing, bro. Don't worry about it, bro. And then later on, it becomes a problem so big that it's going to kill everybody else. Then you decide to tell them, like, yo, man, when we got struck by lightning, I started hearing the voices. Like, I hate that shit, bro. That shit, man, that's one of my pet peeves, bro, especially with Supernatural, bro. If you watch Supernatural, bro, you understand that's the plot of, like, 12 seasons, bro. Some shit that could have been avoided if they would have just told each other. Like, the moment it happened, but they decided to keep it a secret. Yeah, bro, you understand what I'm talking about, bro.
Her that Korvac is probably still hunting them. Of course, after he figured out he didn't kill us, she says. Tony tells her about Rhodey's kidnapping, which means I can't go to anyone for help or let on that anything's wrong. Otherwise, Rhodey's dead, he continues. But Patsy is angry with Tony, revealing the electric burns on her face. Tony promises her that he will handle the problem. You think you need to do this alone? Patsy points out. Tony nods. It's too dangerous to bring in help. I can't risk Rhodey, he tells her. But Patsy thinks that Tony wants to keep things quiet because he's afraid people...
I like that, bro. I like how they gave an explanation of why no other hero will be helping him. You feel me? They need to do that. They need to do that for Spider-Man, bro. Because Spider-Man, bro, the superheroes have no reason, bro, on why not. Spider-Man never gave the viewers a reason or an explanation on why no superhero helped this nigga ass while he fight, bro. Bro, it was one time, bro, somebody put $6 billion on Spider-Man's head, bro, and everybody knew about it, bro. And every villain from everybody, I mean, villains, the whole villain, every villain from Marvel got on his ass, bro. And Spider-Man fought 24 hours straight, bro. 24 hours straight before that for that bounty on their head got taken off. 24 hours straight, and everybody knew about it, bro. And not one superhero came up and helped his ass, bro. Like, that's crazy. And they never put an exclamation or explain why not. But I like how they finally did it for Iron Man, bro. They told us that if you tell Rhodey, a.k.a. War Machine, gonna die. If you try to get anybody involved. I like that shit, bro.
Will blame him for funding Korvac. She finally apologizes and points out that her face hurts, and she's in a bad mood. The two make up and finally embrace, beginning to kiss as they fall to the bed. Elsewhere, Rhodey looks up at Korvac and his disciples. Unicorn enters the church and informs Korvac that they have discovered the location of Ta-2. The ship of Galactus? Rhodey asks, fighting through the mind-control drugs that they have given him. Korvac steps forward and explains that his destiny lies with the Ta-2. Galactus doesn't take kindly to visitors, Rhodey gasps. But Korvac isn't scared and orders his disciples to prepare for his ascension to demigodhood.
I'm not lying, bro. Pulling up on Galactus is fucking insanity, bro. Even to a god, even to the cosmic entities, bro, even to the gods themselves, bro, pulling up to fucking Galactus, bro, home, spaceship, Galactus lives on a spaceship. Bro, you're fucking nuts, bro. You're nuts, bro. No entity in the universe would do that dumb shit, bro. And the fact that, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro, there's a major difference between Galactus in the comics, bro, and the Galactus that was in that Fantastic Four movie, bro. When I tell you, bro, that movie would have been, and that was the Galactus from the comics, bro, that movie would have been wrapped up, bro. As soon as that motherfucker would have touched down on that planet, that bitch would have been wrapped up, bro. It would have been wrapped up, bro, when nobody could do shit to that man, bro. I'm telling you, bro.
Later, Tony and Patsy are laying in bed, with Tony admitting that she's right and he needs help. It has to be someone Korvac wouldn't be tracking or even be aware of. That means no Avengers, no Fantastic Four, none of Xavier's people. This has to be quiet, no noise at all, he says. But Patsy doesn't respond for a moment, and after Tony prods her, she finally admits to being able to hear Korvac's voice in her head. It's maybe a soft whisper. I thought it was just ringing in my hearing since Oklahoma, but it's getting louder, she says. She looks at him with concern in her eyes. Something's happening, she whispers. At the church, the machine is prepared. Korvac's disciples strap him in and activate it, sending bolts of electricity coursing through his body. Elsewhere, Patsy and Tony are walking through the streets of New York, armed with a list of potential heroes that might be able to help them. This list is pretty thin, Tony notes. But Patsy suddenly falls to her knees, screaming as Korvac's voice bellows in her ears. Tony moves to help her, but they both look up as New York is plunged into darkness. That's not good, Tony says. Patsy looks up. Ta-2. He wants to go to Ta-2, she whispers. In the church, the villainous disciples watch as Korvac...
I like how everybody knows the fucking name of Galactus ship, bro. I don't know what story that's from, bro. Like, why do everybody know the name of that shit, bro?
Rises up, now glowing with energy. I am forever, the demigod bellows. Tony and Patsy have headed to the underground racers, hoping to enlist Halcyon's aid in fighting the low-rank heroes. The racer signs to Tony, pointing out that he isn't a criminal. Look, right now, you're the closest thing to an underground that I've got, Tony tells him. They both whirl as energy begins to crackle around Patsy, and she begins to rise into the air. She speaks, But now it is Korvac's voice that comes from her lips. "Don't try to stop me, Stark," she says before sending an energy blast into a nearby car.
I ain't gonna lie to you, Tony Stark, you're a smart, dumb nigga, bro. I ain't gonna lie, not my first thought, but in the back of my head, I would have been like, if you can hear her, if you can hear his voices, bro, and you can hear what he's thinking and saying, bro, like, couldn't he be able to do the same thing to you and hear what you saying and hear what you thinking? Like, bro, you low key, like, for a smart nigga, bro, the fact that it never crossed your mind might be a dumb. You might be a dumb nigga, bro. You might be dumb.
"That's bad. That's really bad," Tony whispers. He tries to get through to Patsy, but she can't hear him. Luckily, Halcyon remains calm and walks over to a nearby fire hydrant. He cracks it open and douses Patsy with water, throwing her to the ground. Tony looks at him in shock. "Long story, I'm a mutant. Weird power, but my heart rate doesn't go above 70 BPM, Halcyon signs. "You know that list I gave you? Put yourself on it," Tony tells him. Later, Tony puts on his armor and walks into the room to greet his new team. "Okay, sorry there's no coffee or donuts, but I don't have time for the usual pleasantries. And full transparency, you're all I could find on such short notice," he tells those who are gathered. Gargoyle, Scarlet Spider, Misty Knight, and Frogman all look at him. "This is the best day of my life," Frogman says with glee. Tony motions to Halcyon and thanks him for tracking down the heroes. After taking a long drink of water, he fills those who have gathered on everything that's happened, including Korvac kidnapping Rhodey, turning himself into a demigod, and his plans to get Galactus's world ship. He reaches down and pulls on his helmet.
Or your power is to never, like, your heart rate will never go up. How's that I mean, granted, bro, like, how's that a power? Like, I have the power to always remain calm. That's low-key tough. Your heart will always remain at a certain pace. It will never drop or rise. Doesn't that make you immortal? Right? If your heart beat or heart pace, I mean, it can't stop. You feel me? Because if something has to remain at a constant level, right, then it can't drop. You feel me? It can't never go up, and it can never drop. It stays at a steady pace. So even if you're brain dead, like, your heart continue to pump, like, when your heart continue to beat, right? Is he immortal? Not immortal, but, like, is he, like, is that a form of immortality? That your heart will always keep beating, bro. You feel me? Because as long as your heart beat, you're alive. Even if if every organ in you, cause, like, I want to say, even if every organ in you stop, right? If every organ in you stop except your heart, I think you still would live. Like, I don't know exactly what will happen. I know what will happen if your lungs start working. You'll suffocate. But I don't know how the fuck you suffocating with no air affects your heart. But if it was just, I don't know, bro. But I feel like if it's a way, if it affects your heart where, like, it'll stop it eventually and you'll just die, then even with no oxygen, you will still live, bro, because your heart will always beat constantly at a certain rate. It can never drop. You get what I'm saying. So in a way, bro, you that's a form of That's a form of immortality. It's the worst immortality because it's not like you're healing. You're living so long because you're healing. It's not like you're living so long because you got longevity. It's like your heart would never give out. So as long as you have a heart, you're gonna live. You feel me? But you can still die of starvation. You can still drown, right? No, I don't think you can drown. I don't think you can die of starvation. Right? I mean, you're going to still feel the pain of it all, but. Or can you, bro? The only way to die will have to be something that has nothing to do with your heart. You feel that's the only way you can die. If it does not affect your. But when you die, your heart beat. You feel me? You can't die with your heart beating, bro. So I don't think that can even work, bro. I don't think you can die. Like the only way to die will have to remove your heart. Removing your heart would be the only way you could die. Or your ass getting completely obliterated. Or your heart getting crushed. That's the only way you can die, bro. That's actually broke. At hindsight, what's your mutability? Yeah, man, my heart rate stays at a steady pace. It will never drop or rise. On paper, you'll be like, damn, bro, that's not even a fucking power. That's weak as fuck. But in reality, you really think about it like, hold on, bro. A doctor or somebody with like a high IQ or intelligence or with common sense would be like, does that make you immortal? He should be on the list.
Guess is he wants the power cosmic. Last time, he essentially became a god, and we couldn't stop him. Questions? Tony asks as he looks at the group. Scarlet Spider raises his hand. How do we stand a chance? He asks. Tony shakes his head and tells them that he doesn't have a clue. My advice, do as I say. Then and only then can we hope to stop Korvac, he says.
That's a Tony Stark ass.
They all look at him quietly and turn away. I need you all to get to work right now, he says. In her room, Patsy is trying to cover her ears to block out Korvac's voice. But when she opens her eyes, she is standing outside in the rain, with Korvac standing before her. Patsy, how I feel you've suffered. How you're still tormenting. When I make all things one, your torment will vanish. I will free the world, he tells her. Hellcat glares at him. Maybe go fuck yourself, she says. She whirls and punches an electrical box, shocking herself and dropping to the ground. Korvac walks forward and reaches down for her, stroking the side of her face. Ignorance. Such fearful ignorance. Suffer then. Feel every bit of your fear, he whispers to her. But Tony isn't far away, scanning for Patsy's signal in the rainy city. In their headquarters, the new team is hard at work, with Misty using her contacts to learn that there is a massive radiation signature coming from a warehouse in the Bronx. Halcyon looks to them and signs that that kind of power output has to be an engine of some kind. Frogman comes into the room. Guys, Hellcat's gone, he tells them. But Tony has already located her. He flies to her signal, waking her up gently. You okay? I'm sorry, I used you as bait. I knew you'd still be susceptible to him. I knew he'd draw you out, he says as he helps her up. Patsy is babbling, not making any sense as she looks at Tony with fear in her eyes. What did he do to you? Tony questions. I'm dead. My soul is dead. I am, she continues to say. Tony pulls her into a hug. Patsy, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let him near you. You're gonna be all right, he tells her. The comms suddenly come to life as Misty informs Tony of the possible location for an off-planet engine. Wait for me to make your move, and Misty, be careful, Tony warns her. Tony looks up as the door opens in the alley and several people come running out. There's a man with a bomb inside! Someone shouts as they run past Tony. He lowers Patsy back to the ground and tells her that he has to go. She looks at him with fear. "I will be right back, I promise," he tells her. Tony walks away and enters the laundromat. He finds Korvac leaning against one of the machines. "There you are, the hero," Korvac says with sarcasm. Iron Man stalks forward. "No bomb then?" he asks. Korvac shakes his head. "Of course not. I don't want anyone to get hurt," he says. Korvac explains that he just wants to take over the universe and make it a safe place for everyone. Tony isn't buying it though, but their conversation is interrupted as Misty comes over the comms again, telling Tony that they've arrived at the warehouse and have found Korvac's ship. The group of lower tier heroes enter the ship and find that it is empty. Tony's eyes widen in fear as he realizes what's happening. "Misty, get out of there now!" he shouts. The warehouse explodes, shaking the ground even where Tony and Korvac are standing. Tony falls to his knees, trying to get someone to answer the comms. Korvac steps forward and puts a hand on Tony's shoulder. "You're misguided, Stark. You like to think that you should be in charge. But the truth is, you're just an upright worm. You'd better leave matters that you're not suited for in more capable hands," Korvac says. Tony bellows in anger and looks up at Korvac, blasting him with all of the energy in his suit. As the smoke clears, the suit begins to fail, and Tony falls to the ground. But Korvac stands back up, his clothes and half of his face burned away, revealing the android beneath. "Was that it? Was that everything?" he asks. He walks forward, kicking Tony so that the man falls over. "Your suit is completely spent. I'm sorry, Tony, but I promise you, it will all be beautiful," Korvac says, stepping on Iron Man's neck and snapping it, before turning to walk away, leaving Tony collapsed on the ground, unable to follow him. Tony isn't giving up. His neck is broken, but he puts an arm down to try and push himself up. Hellcat has tried to come to her senses and moves into the laundromat. She puts an arm around him and helps him to his feet. And together, the two of them put Tony into a laundry cart and head out into the rainy night. Hellcat manages to flag down a taxi and gets Tony into the back seat. "Drive, now!" she shouts. Tony gasps at her, telling her that a hospital won't do him any good, and he needs to get to Halcyon. Meanwhile, at the warehouse, the other heroes aren't dead. Everyone looks around in shock and sees that Gargoyle has created a force field around them. "The fortunate news is, you're not dead," he gasps, with the others noticing that he is severely wounded. "What the heck happened? What did he do?" Scarlet Spider asks as the force field drops and Gargoyle falls to the ground. Frogman quickly explains that Gargoyle shielded them with his bioenergy. Scarlet Spider nods and picks up the big man. "Then, by that simple math, we gotta get him help before he dies," he says. On Korvac's real ship, the demigod and his disciples are preparing to leave. Korvac heads out into the warehouse with the intent of dealing with the captured James Rhodes, who is doing his best to escape. Korvac turns as Guardsman approaches. "I'm glad you're finally with us, brother," Korvac says. They both look up as Rhodey finally breaks through the pipe that he is handcuffed to and runs out of the warehouse, dodging Korvac's energy blasts. "This won't do. He'll alert the others," Korvac sighs. Guardsman looks to his new leader, asking to deal with Rhodey himself. "Remember me at Ascension," Guardsman says as he turns and runs after the hero. At their makeshift headquarters, Halcyon has begun to work on Tony, stabilizing his neck in the Iron Man helmet so that Tony will be able to survive until they are able to get him into emergency surgery. And Tony refuses to do so until Korvac is taken care of. The more immediate concern...
Your priority, I ain't gonna lie, bro. It's a life lesson, bro. And nigga got his neck broke. Nigga broke his neck and was like, "Nah, bro, I'll worry about that. I'll worry about fixing my broken fucking neck after I handle my business, bro. That you can apply that to life, bro. If this nigga, bro, has his neck snapped to where if he take that helmet off, he dies immediately, bro. And he like, bro, even with a helmet on or off, bro, you have a likely chance of dying, 97% chance of dying, bro. He like, man, I'll worry about that after I goddamn handle my business, bro. I mean, you got no excuse why you can't handle your business, bro. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. You got no excuse why you're not locked in, bro.
Is the morphine drip that Halcyon installs in his armor so that Tony doesn't pass out from the pain. But Tony is an addict, though, and he knows what this will do to him. Finally on his feet, Tony goes to check on Patsy, who is still hearing Korvac's voice in her mind, where he shows her images of the coming paradise that he plans to bring about in the universe. How do you feel? Tony asks, bringing Patsy back to the real world. She rubs at her head. I feel like I had 2 injections of olanzapine. How about you? She asks. I'm swimming in pain meds. It feels great, but that may be a problem later, he tells her honestly. Tears begin to fall from Patsy's eyes as she explains to Tony what Korvac has shown her. Tony, what if he's right? She asks. Tony leans down and puts a hand on her shoulder. He's not. Korvac can't create a perfect universe. Hell, I bet you and I could create a better universe than Korvac, he says. She smiles weakly at him. Now you're scaring me, she jokes. Outside, the other heroes are talking about getting the Avengers involved, or sending out a distress signal to some of their powerful contacts in space. They believe they aren't enough to leave Earth and stop Korvac. The door to the office opens up, revealing War Machine. Nobody here is leaving Earth. I'm getting the whole cavalry to ride against this dude. You all need to call it a day, he says. But Tony comes out, telling Rhodey that he is going after Korvac, and there's nothing that Rhodey can do to stop him. The skylight above them shatters downwards as Guardsman leaps into the room. This is your last night on Earth, Rhodes, he shouts. But Guardsman looks around at the gathering of heroes that he thought were dead. Hey, you're all still alive. All of you. Huh, how about that? Guardsman says as he straightens up. Tony stalks across the room and punches him hard, sending the villain flying across the room and slamming into a wall. Tony turns back to War Machine. Rhodey, you're going to be my pilot on this. Now bring me the most advanced spacecraft I own. We're going to make up for lost time, Tony says. A short time later, Tony's ship barrels through space with Halcyon at the controls. The mutant racer smiling broadly at having gone from a street racer to a spaceship pilot in a very short period of time. In the back, Rhodey and Tony are fixing up each other's armor, giving themselves tweaks to help fight against Korvac, with Tony asking his old friend to trust him in the upcoming fight. Rhodey looks up at his friend as he sits down to let Tony tune up his armor. Tony, I trust you like a brother, but that's all you're riding on right now, he says. Tony looks at him and nods. I'll take it, bud, he says quietly as he gets to work. Later, Tony goes to Patsy, asking her about the paradise that Korvac showed her. He's really in your head, isn't he? He asks. She nods, explaining that Korvac knows they are coming. That means he'll be ready, she says. But Tony asks if Patsy can make the connection a two-way street so that he can speak with Korvac. I'm not expecting to reason with him or anything, but come on, it's worth a shot, Tony tells her, letting her know that he fully trusts in her. Patsy finally nods and takes his hand. In moments, they stand in the paradise that Korvac showed her. The demigod turns in surprise to see them. Tony, nice to see you. How's the neck? Korvac asks as he smiles at them. Neither of you can hurt me like this. Your minds are scattered, exhausted, too angry, he says. But Tony shakes his head, asking Korvac to show him the utopia that he has planned. I want to know how it actually works, the nuts and bolts of universal harmony, he says. Korvac looks at him in surprise, having never thought to show Tony. I never considered you'd want me to share my vision with you. It's quite beautiful. It's perfect, he says. So Korvac holds up his hand and the landscape shifts around them. He explains that all things in his perfect universe will be the sum of the aggregate. That there will be no war, anger, or hatred. That everything will be working in perfect harmony and balance. Show me this aggregate, Tony asks. They are suddenly shown a world covered in a beautiful and perfect crystal. This is all life itself, across the universe, Korvac explains, proud of his vision. But Tony sighs and shakes his head. So, it's entirely homogeneous, limited only to this singular type of existence? No freedom, no flair, no deviation, not even color. Just nothing. Things grazing on nothing, Tony says. Patsy looks at Korvac. I'm sorry, but this utopia sucks, she says. Korvac becomes angry with them, declaring that they don't have the inclination nor the mental capacity to understand his vision of harmony. Big K, this is all about you. It's a vanity project. And if you worked for me, I'd fire your ass, Tony tells him. Korvac steps forward, prepared to fight the mental projection of Tony, but Iron Man suddenly blinks out of existence. Patsy steps forward to fight Korvac, but the demigod waves his hand and she is encased in the crystal from his vision. In the real world, Misty has walked into the room, shocked to find Patsy collapsed on the floor and Tony having disappeared. She rushes to tell Rhodey, but War Machine has his hands busy. Their ship has caught up to Korvac and the two are now engaged. We're about to have a dogfight in outer space, and I need gunners in the belly and tail, he shouts to his makeshift crew. Evasive maneuvers, he shouts to Halcyon, who remains completely calm and begins to push the controls. Meanwhile, in a beam of light, Tony has appeared in a strange world. He looks up to find a patrol of alien creatures looking down at him. Trespasser, don't move, we're taking you in. Lesson you want us to neutralize you right here, eh? One of the patrolmen says. Tony looks at him in shock. Are you Canadian? He asks in surprise. Back in space, Rhodey and Halcyon are trying to dodge Korvac's attacks. But while their ship might be faster, Korvac's is more maneuverable. The ship twists through the void as Scarlet Spider and Misty Knight try to fire at them with their lasers. The front controls suddenly spark as they are hit by another blast. I just lost flight control. This ship maneuvers like my grandma's damn Cadillac. Halcyon, brake us hard left, Rhodey shouts. In the back, Frogman is still strapped to his chair. I was very excited to go to outer space, but now I really don't like it at all, he shouts. In the back, Gargoyle has picked up Patsy's unconscious body, holding her close and shielding them both within his bioenergy, promising to take care of her. Come back to us, Patsy. Fighting, hear my voice, friend, he says. But in her mind, Patsy hears a new voice, and she looks up to see Moondragon floating down to her. Hello, Hellcat. It's been a while, and it seems your mind has rekindled some interesting abilities, Moondragon says, remembering when Hellcat had psychic powers in the past. I'm here to make you stronger, Moondragon says, telling Hellcat that the Guardians received their message about the threat of Korvac, but that they won't be able to get there in time to help. So I'm going to enhance your mental powers, but I don't want you to be hurt, she says. Patsy thanks her, taking a moment to explain the threat of Korvac's paradise. So Moondragon takes Patsy on a journey through her mind. They begin at her high school, where Patsy is able to use her mental powers to learn the answers of a test from her teacher, and mentally throw his apple against the wall. But Patsy is caught for the act and told to go to the principal's office. But the principal is Damon Hellstrom, who threatens to drag her back to hell again, to be his bride.
What the fuck?
Patsy is
What the hell? background story, bro. I'm thinking she's someone like Batwoman, right? Like Batman type shit, bro. Like she's somebody that's in a costume with no powers, bro. That motherfucker found out that motherfucker got telekinesis. This motherfucker was supposed to be the bride of the devil. That motherfucker was in a straitjacket, bro. Who the fuck is he, bro?
Not afraid. And the next thing she knows, she sees herself in a padded room where she is rocking back and forth, babbling about hell. But Moondragon is with her the whole time, and Patsy is staring down at her body. Who is that? She asks. Your fear. Fear of your own mind, Moondragon tells her. She explains that Patsy must release her fear and accept it. Then she will become more powerful and not afraid of her own abilities. Patsy does as she is told and releases the bonds from the image of her younger self, hugging her close and smiling. Deep down, Korvac is afraid. If you are not, you can win, Moondragon tells her. Patsy suddenly awakens aboard the ship and jumps out of Gargoyle's arms. What's happening? She shouts. Frogman looks back at her. The shit has officially hit the fan, he shouts. She runs to the front of the ship and throws Halcyon out of his seat, ignoring Rhodey's shouts that they are about to die. Give me 10 seconds, then throw everything to the engines or whatever. Just make it go as fast as you can, she shouts. Patsy reaches out with her mind, showing Korvac images of the Badoon, who towers over him and promises to enslave him once again. Korvac is afraid for a moment before blasting the images with energy. Illusions all! He shouts. And the surge disables their ship for a moment, and Rhodey hits the boost, sending their ship hurtling away into the blackness of space. Now out of the battle, everyone breathes a sigh of relief. But then Hellcat looks around. Wait a minute, where the hell is Tony? She asks. Korvac and his forces have stopped in another world, where they search for the remains of his brother, the being known as Adam 1.
The original Human Torch, man. See, a lot of y'all don't read comics, bro, so y'all think Johnny Storm, the Fantastic Four member, is the Human Torch. But no, the original Human Torch was an android. And Johnny Storm got the name from him. Well, I guess he passed on a mantle. He passed on a mantle to Johnny Storm.
Better known on Earth as the first Human Torch, Jim Hammond. I don't care who you are. I chose this moon because I wanted to be left alone, Jim says, bursting into flames as Korvac destroys his self-made prison, exposing him to oxygen once again and forcing him to burst into flames. The Human Torch throws a burst of fire at Korvac, but the android easily stops it with an energy blast. No, your name is Adam 1, Korvac says. Hammond begins to calm as Korvac explains that they were created by the same person. Korvac was originally named Adam 4. I'm your brother, he says. He explains that he is trying to create a better universe and that he wants his brother to stand beside him. He leads him back to the ship, explaining to Hammond that he is going to create a new body for him, one made out of his own materials, and gave him part of Korvac's power, to let him see into his mind. I want you to be perfect with me. I'm talking about godhood, Korvac explains. But Hammond shakes his head. I'm not interested in being a god, he says. Korvac explains that neither is he, and that it is merely only a means to his end, a way to bring about his vision. But first things first, I came here to help you become whole once again. Do you want my help? He asks, and Hammond thinks about it for a moment before nodding. Yes, I do, he finally admits. And so Korvac begins to work, creating Hammond a new body to rival his own. He finally plugs in his memories, and Basilisk stands ready as the memories begin to download. I will have the contingencies ready, Basilisk says. Korvac nods. I have faith in him. He'll see the light, he says. As the memories begin to download, Hammond can see the past. He sees Korvac gain the power cosmic. He sees the Avengers confront him, and Korvac uses his powers to eradicate them. Hammond finally looks up, pulling the plugs from his body, tears in his eyes at what he saw in Korvac's mind. The demigod misunderstands though, believing that Hammond saw his vision for a perfect world. Yes, isn't it beautiful? Isn't it perfect? He asks. But Hammond turns to him, his eyes blazing as he begins to engulf himself in flames. I see what you did! You killed the Avengers! You killed them all! He snaps as he rises into the air. Korvac backs away, trying to reason with his brother, explaining that he acted out in a moment of anger and that he brought the Avengers back. Damn it, Jim! I cannot be obstructed! I won't allow it! Korvac shouts. But as Hammond reaches out for him, Basilisk puts a control disc against Hammond's neck, forcing the new—
bro, he's a fucking— I ain't gonna lie, he's not— oh, I hate my setup. He's not an idiot, bro. He's not an idiot. Adam 1, Hematory's not an idiot, bro. His downfall isn't his stupidity, bro. It's his low self-esteem, bro. I'm gonna say it again. His low self-esteem is his fucking downfall, bro. Instead of using common sense, bro, and just being like, no, bro, I'm just finna beat you, bro. I'm just finna fight you, bro, until one of us left standing, bro, you feel me? Even if it's like 3 or 4 against 1, bro, I'm finna fight you, bro. Cause you evil as fuck, bro. But instead of that, bro, you let this man bring up your insecurities. He was like, no, what, bro, I can make you whole. And you was like, okay, fine. I can make you a better body, bro. You let him tear your old body apart. And you let the ops build you a new body. You let a motherfucker you know or you feel like it's evil build you a new fucking body, bro. And you think you was just finna, and you think he ain't had no way to control your ass. You didn't think he'd make no plan for you just in case you turned on him, bro. Or had a change of heart, bro. You think he finna witness your magnificent power and just let you walk? You think he finna have a motherfucker that can rival his own power, bro, and not have no plan for your dumb ass? He's a fucking idiot. I take it back. He is a fucking idiot. He's an idiot who fell victim to his own self-esteem. You feel me, bro? If he would have loved himself, bro, if he would have loved the things he could not change about himself, bro, and realize, no, bro, I was not created perfect. But you know what? I am who I am, and that's good enough for me, man. He wouldn't have a control just on the back of his fucking neck like an idiot. Fucking idiot.
New android to fall to his knees.
And you can apply that to life, bro. You can apply all of what I said to life, bro. You feel me, bro? A lot of people end up in fucked up situations, bro. A lot of people end up in far worse situations than what they was because they didn't love themselves, bro. Because their self-esteem was low. Because they didn't believe they was good enough, bro. You feel me? You can apply that shit to life, bro. That shit crazy.
Lord, he will still prove a valuable weapon against Stark and his Chandra, and whatever else we may encounter aboard Ta 2.
Basilisk says. Korvac turns and walks away. I didn't want a weapon, Basil. I wanted an ally, a brother. But I suppose I'll continue to remain alone and settle for a slave, he sighs. Elsewhere in the universe, Tony Stark finds himself in a strange world. After being teleported here and meeting the alien patrol, Tony was brought to a village where others who have been mysteriously brought to this world have banded together to create a society. Tony doesn't understand how he got there, nor where the planet even is. But the members of the society seem at peace with being trapped on this strange world. He's even met an old friend, Colin Richards, a Canadian hero that goes by the codename Avro X, who has been here for quite some time. Tony tries to get some information from his old friend, but the polite hero tells him that they should wait to talk to the big man. He'll call for you soon, don't worry, Colin tells him. So Tony heads back to his tent, still unable to take off his helmet due to his broken neck. And Tony has slowly become addicted to the steady morphine drip that Halcyon had set up in his suit. With nothing else to do, Tony begins to explore this new world, discovering ancient robots that have fallen into disarray. He manages to open one up and siphon off its power source, some sort of biological enzyme. It juices Tony up and he feels better than he has in days. But Yar, the woman who runs the camp, interrupts his study, informing him that the leader of the society is summoning him. She leads Tony into the mountains where he is shocked to find the leader is Stiltman. Obvious question, but what are you doing here? Tony asks. Stiltman lowers himself down and stands before the hero. Making do, I guess, Stiltman tells him. Tony thinks that Stiltman is the one behind this, but the villain shakes his head. You're wrong. I got here the same as you. I was one of the first. One blink of an eye and then some new lonely life. He says, telling Tony that he has done his best to try and make this place work. To make do with the mysterious circumstance that everyone has found themselves in. But Stiltman explains that this place turned into something else. Something that he didn't even realize he wanted. That they all seem to want. Where they could leave the troubles of their lives and their world behind. Where they didn't have to worry about what was expected of them. Where they could just be. Is this making any sense? Stiltman asks. Like a hippie commune? Tony asks. Stiltman smiles and tells Tony that they could use someone like him. No, let me rephrase that. Perhaps you could use something like us, Stiltman tells him. And Tony just looks at him. Do you know how many times you've tried to kill me, Wilbur? Tony asks. I don't know what the statute of limitations is on apologies, but I'm sorry, Wilbur tells him. He merely asks Tony to think about it, and tells him that they might need his help against the elements of the planet that the village fights against, though he refuses to explain further. That night, Tony is lying in bed, the mental projection of Hellcat beside him as he explains everything he's learned to her. But she reminds him,
Iron Man don't fuck everybody out, bro. Iron Man don't fuck everybody, bro. He don't fuck every bitch that's known, every bitch that's unknown, pedestrian. No, this nigga civilian. Now, Iron Man don't fuck every fucking body, bro. Every fucking body, bro. And know everybody, know the crazy thing about it, bro? Everybody know he fucked everybody ass. Everybody, it's not even like no secret, bro. It's not like no, oh, nah, I fuck Iron Man. I'm gonna keep that shit a secret. I don't want everybody in my business, bro. Everybody know this man fucked everybody, bro. And they do not care. They still gonna give it up to this nigga, bro. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, bro. People like, man, a girl ain't gonna want you, bro, if she know if she know you fuck with everybody, or you fuck everybody, or don't want you. I'm like, bro, she is, bro. You just not rich, bro. You not rich, bro. If Iron Man was rich, if Iron Man was broke, bro, they would not be going for that shit, bro. Bro, you just not rich, bro. You not rich. When you rich, bro, you can fuck half the population, bro, and nobody care, bro. There's some people that do care. Maybe more. It'll be more people that don't care than more people that do care.
And tells him to figure things out quickly.
How they fuck that man, right? They be like, it's one thing, right, to just fuck somebody, right, and be done with it, right? But nah, bro. It's a whole nother thing, right, to fuck somebody, right? To fuck everybody, and everybody you fuck fall in love with your ass. And you got a body count over 100 damn near, bro. And all 100 of them hoes love your ass to death. That's a whole nother thing,
get
bro.
Back to them. And come back to me, Tony Stark. I miss you, she says before fading away. I miss you too, Patsy Walker, Tony says quietly. Suddenly.
Man, that's another thing. He don't call no hoes, no baby girl. He don't do no pet name, bro. He call hoes by their first and last name, bro. Nah, that nigga a player, bro. I see why he fuck half the population, bro. That boy a player, bro. That boy call her out by her first and last name, bro. And they go for it, bro. One thing about it, bro, female, I hate when you call them by their whole government name, bro. They hate that shit, bro. They hate it, bro. For him to be able to do that shit to the whole, and the whole be like, no, they just love that shit. They eat that shit up. Yeah, he a different motherfucker, bro. Ain't nobody getting hoes like Iron Man, bro. Ain't nobody, bro. Probably like Chip Skylark, but beside him, bro, I don't really know.
The ground begins to shake. Tony rushes outside and meets up with Colin, who is rushing to the fight. You guys ever gonna tell me what the hell we're actually facing? Tony asks. Colin looks at him. Words defy. It's right there, bud. Colin says as they rocket to the fight. Tony looks up in shock as a massive android stomps towards the village, crushing whatever meager defenses they have. Ultimo? Tony shouts with surprise. A planet of Ultimos? Are you kidding me? He says to Colin. The defenders do what they can, but the Ultimo knocks Tony and Colin away. It reaches down and picks up more of the villagers, bringing them up and eating them all.
Damn.
Tony has no choice but to leap up and hit it with a unibeam, using the new energy that he pulled from the other android. He then flies forward and punches it with the new tune-up that Rhodey gave him, knocking it hard to the ground where he lays still. Colin rushes forward and takes off his helmet. Holy Tony! We've never killed one before! He shouts. Wilbur steps forward and thanks Tony, even though some of the other villagers, including Tar, died in the attack. You said there's more of those things out there? But what you've built is something beautiful. You shouldn't have to lose any more of it, Tony says as he looks around at the destruction the Ultimo has caused. Tony turns back to Wilbur. I'll help you run the colony. I want to help you. I like it here, he says. Later, the survivors bury those—
Alright, so I Googled what the fuck is an Ultimo, bro. I Googled it, bro. That shit said an Ultimo is a colossal, ancient alien robot. It's known for its immense destructive power and durability, capable of absorbing energy to enhance its size and weaponry. Blah, blah, created by, it believed to have been, blah, 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 caused its creation or extinction. Oh, yeah! The motherfucker that created it, it caused the extinction of his whole entire race. They made it, and soon that bitch turned on, it eradicated his whole race. Yeah, those type of demons we dealing with here. It fell on Earth. It got controlled by aliens. By the villains. And it said it clashed with Iron Man and other heroes, often being defeated by being shut down or temporarily destroyed, but never permanently defeated. So what they're saying is, right, the motherfucker's so OP, but that shit has never been permanently defeated. Never, bro. They had to shut it down, bro, basically, bro, to beat it. And you telling me, bro, they have a planet on them hoes? I see why his reaction was his fucking reaction, bro. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. If I had a planet on them motherfuckers, bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. If I was Iron Man, bro, I would have flew right into space, bro. I would have abandoned their ass, bro.
Those that died, and Wilbur says a few words. After everyone moves off, Tony suggests to Colin that they take a look at the fallen Ultimo. Forget it, it's already being melted down for better use. Now come on, I feel like raising a drink to the fallen, Colin tells him as they walk away. Later, Tony goes to talk to Wilbur, questioning why they don't search out the facility that keeps making the Ultimos and destroy them. You've built something amazing here, Wilbur, so why not try and stamp out this last terrible part of it, once and for all, Tony asks. But Wilbur shakes his head, explaining that they don't have enough fighters to launch an attack of that magnitude, pointing out that it takes the Ultimos months to reach the encampment. He puts a hand on Tony's shoulder. It's funny in a way. I think the threat of the machines is what keeps the community bound together. No dissent, Wilbur says. He motions out of the tent, telling Tony that he could use some help with a rescue signal that he has been trying to put together. But as they are walking away, Tony hears Hellcat's voice in his head again, reminding him that they still need his help defeating Korvac. That night, Tony lays awake in his bed, still not sure what is bothering him. He slips out of his tent and goes to the remains of the Ultimo, popping off one of its service panels and looking through its inners. I told you this Ultimo wreck was off limits, Tony. Colin calls from behind him. Do you even know why it's off limits? Tony asks as he turns to his friend. Wilbur's been through half a dozen of these things, Colin informs him. But Tony turns back to the machine, causing Colin to shoot him with a blast of energy. You're not in charge of this colony, Tony. You're not in charge of anything here, Colin tells him. Tony gets to his feet, grabbing Colin by his rocket boots and slamming him into the ground. What are you protecting? What are you hiding? He asks as he rips Colin's helmet off. But Colin explains that he's just doing what Wilbur has told him, protecting the balance of the colony. Tony gets back to his feet and turns back to the fallen android. Protect the balance? He says quietly before shifting through the components. He pulls out something that he recognizes and holds it up. Find something? Colin asks him as he stands behind him. A short time later, Tony blasts the doors off of Wilbur's inner sanctum. The scientist turns away from the beacon he is working on. Tony? Colin? Did you try knocking first? Maybe I was distracted and didn't hear it, he says sarcastically. Tony holds up the device that he pulled from the robot, pointing out that it is being controlled remotely with components taken from Earth. Are you accusing me of something? Wilbur asks. And Tony nods. Yeah, murder, he says. Stiltman suddenly rises up, forcing the two armored warriors to leap into the air.
Wait. Let me get it straight. Stiltman. I understand. Okay. So you tell me your power is to make mechanical legs that shoot up? You're a fucking scientist. You're a fucking scientist, bro. You gotta build a device to control killer robots from another planet, bro. Are you telling me the most you did for yourself is to make boots as Stan? Like Go Gadget? I swear to God, bro. Like genius I can't even say the word in some fucking country. Genius intellect is wasted on dumb motherfuckers, bro. Like, that type of intellect is wasted on a stupid motherfucker, bro.
This is my home, Tony, and I'm starting to think that you should leave, Wilbur says. As they fight, Wilbur explains to Tony that he is destroying...
Okay. Not only his feet can it stand, his arms can it stand too. But I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That's still dumb as fuck. Out of everything you could have done, bro, that's what you choose to do, bro. Have your arms and legs fucking stretch, bro. That's fucking dumb.
The grand experiment, that he had enough of the humiliation back home, so he came here, creating this colony so that he could prove that he could create something amazing, something true, something pure. But the two heroes destroy Stiltman's extending legs and arms. It's not pure, Wilbur. It's sick and sad, Tony tells him.
They ate somebody, bro.
The two look up to see the colonists gathered at the door, having heard everything. They push forward and grab a hold of Wilbur, dragging him out into the village to stand trial for the crimes against them and those who have died. Colin believes that the people will act fairly towards their captor, but as the duo walks outside, a bright light appears before them, and the living tribunal floats before Tony.
Tony Stark. The universe is on the very edge of catastrophic imbalance. Only you can restore the balance, it says.
Oh boy, I didn't realize the living tribunal knew my full name. Seems bad, Tony says quietly. He asks the living tribunal to return all of the colonists to their homes and teleport him to the Ta'a-2. Colin offers to go with him, promising that he can help. The living tribunal agrees, and the heroes disappear in a flash of light. And in seconds, they stand in Galactus's world ship, with the alarms blaring at their sudden presence. Tony and Colin look around, with Tony informing his friend that they need to find the master control area to shut down the defenses. Thank God Galactus isn't home, Tony says as the sirens continue to sound. How do you know for sure, eh? Colin asks. Tony looks at him. Trust me, we'd know, he says. The pair begin to move through the massive world ship, dodging several different security attacks which all seem to focus on Colin. They come to a chamber where a robot attacks them, and Tony manages to knock it away before it duplicates itself, with one focusing on Colin and the other on Tony. I feel like you guys are cheating, Tony says as he flies forward and slams into his robot. He manages to destroy it quickly, rushing forward and flying through the one attacking Colin. They continue to move through the ship, with Colin and Tony talking about Canada, trying to take their minds off the horrible death that might be reaching them both very soon. But they are interrupted by a new set of alarms. Spotted again? Colin asks. But Tony shakes his head and says that he thinks this time it's outside the ship. I'll try to make it to the ship dock. You keep looking for master controls to shut down these defense systems, Tony says. Colin gives the thumbs up and heads off. A short time later, Colin has found his way into an important-looking room. This looks mighty important, but how do I determine which controls do what? I think I'll just use the Tony Stark method, Colin says before opening fire on the controls. Meanwhile, Tony has reached the docking bay and sighs as he sees Korvac's ship landing. Yep, and it looks like it's the guys I didn't want it to be, he says as he moves forward. Korvac and his disciples step off their ship. Stay alert. The defenses inside this ship are just as lethal as those outside, he says to his followers. Tony calls to them from the shadows where he's leaning against a wall. Yep, Willy Wonka's got a real point there. This place has all kinds of surprises, Tony says. Korvac is surprised to see Tony, who is also surprised to see the Human Torch. My brother Jim has seen the light, Korvac tells him. But Tony isn't so sure. Ha! Right, he laughs. But Jim steps forward and blasts Tony with a burst of fire. Let him go! Colin shouts as he flies into the docking bay, aiming his pistol. But Korvac simply turns and blasts Colin with his energy powers, incinerating the hero and leaving nothing but his helmet behind.
He killed him?
No! Tony yells. He turns on Korvac. His armor is smoking from Jim's attack. What kind of god kills for joy? Kills for sport? A false one! A fraud! He bellows as he rushes forward. He grabs hold of Korvac's arm and rips it off his body. He whirls with the limb and smacks him away. But Korvac's followers turn on Tony, hitting him with several blasts before Basilisk rushes forward and punches Tony hard enough to knock his faceplate off. Tony hits the ground, his eyes rolling into the back of his head. Basilisk lifts him into the air. But Korvac orders him to stop. Stay your hand. Can't you tell? He's already dying. He should be allowed to witness something beautiful before he dies. He's earned that, Korvac says with a smile. Behind them, the docking bay explodes as Rhodey's ship arrives. Korvac looks to his fallen disciples, ordering them to get up. We have to go now, while there's still time, Korvac shouts. The villains get to their feet and follow Korvac to a console, where he activates the ship's internal teleporters. A door of light appears, and the villains disappear. Tony tries to struggle to his feet, but Rhodey is suddenly behind him, helping him up. I got him. He's alive, War Machine calls to Hellcat. You just couldn't let us do it without you, huh? Patsy says as she climbs out of the wreckage of their ship. Tony looks at her with a weak smile. To tell you the truth, I don't know if I could do anything without you, Patsy Wildcat. You guys saw my faceplate? He says. As the other heroes climb out of the ship, Tony gives them their assignments, telling them that they need to split up and reach the power cosmic before Korvac and his disciples do. He looks around at those that he has gathered, brought from Earth to possibly die, and tells them that they are officially a team. Okay, we are space friends, he says before ordering everyone to move out.
Yo, this nigga's
a short time later, Korvac and his followers are standing outside the chamber that holds the power cosmic. But the heroes have arrived, with Frogman leaping to knock Korvac off the walkway. They both fall to the floor below, but the others have arrived before the disciples can react. Misty steps up and knocks Unicorn to the ground. He starts to get up to blast her, but she pulls out a pistol and shoots him in both legs.
Damn.
I don't think the gun was my idea, Tony points out as Unicorn falls to the ground. The heroes continue to fight, but Jim grabs Korvac and flies into the power cosmic chamber. What the? Hellcat whispers as she sees the control disc on the back of Jim's neck. The rest of the heroes rush after Korvac and arrive just as Korvac is stepping into the center of the room, with Jim keeping them at bay with bursts of fire. You're too late, Stark. As for what comes next, you're welcome, Korvac calls. Hellcat looks at Gargoyle and asks him to fly her into the air. They swoop upward, and she orders him to throw her. Ignoring the searing pain from the Human Torch, she reaches out and rips the disc from Jim's neck. They both tumble through the air and slam into the ground. Korvac steps forward, reaching out for the power cosmic as Misty tries to shoot him, but her bullets do nothing. Tony rushes to Patsy's side and cradles her. Tony, what happened? Jim says as he struggles to his feet. You briefly joined a cult. It's okay. It happens, Tony tells his old friend. Everyone suddenly turns on Korvac, blasting him with energy and bullets, knocking him to the ground. Tony rushes forward and uses his suit's new tune-up to hammer Korvac again and again, punching holes into his body until the android falls. Tony, calm down, Jim says. Tony nods, breathing heavily. Sorry, I really hate him. Tony tries to turn, but collapses to the ground. Okay, everybody, take 5. He gasps as he falls to the ground.
Hilarious, bro.
The team rushes forward to help him, unaware of Korvac suddenly struggling up and reaching for the power cosmic. But Tony sees it. He realizes that he can't stop Korvac, not like this, so he pushes away from his friends and makes a choice. He reaches for the power and claims it for himself. Tony finds himself floating through the vastness of space. He can sense the cosmic energy is bonding with every cell in his body. He flies forward, discovering that he is looking at himself in the mirror. Flying through it, he finds himself in the Stark mansion from his youth. He sees a young version of himself, alone and crying. He knows this version. It's the version that no one paid attention to. The one that always felt alone. Next, he sees an older version of himself. The one that just found out about his parents' death. The one that promised to do something so that people would see him. Tony suddenly begins to grow until he bursts through the ceiling and stands tall over the city. Now the world saw him. But then, he began to shrink again, until he was so small that he fell onto the Avengers' dinner table. There he stands in front of 2 large Iron Man gauntlets. Oh, I get it. I'm in my own way. Clever, he says to himself as he steps forward. But the gauntlets flick him away and he lands in a garbage pile of old Iron Man armor. He looks up from the pile to see Korvac, massive and sitting atop the planet. Korvac looks up and sees him. Who dares? Out from my universe at once, Flea! Korvac shouts as he prepares to destroy Tony. But Tony picks up a piece of scrap metal and defends himself, fighting back against Korvac's assault until he manages to kick him into a black hole. Tony sighs. He can't believe that this is the inner workings of his mind that the power cosmic is showing him. It's the same old thing. Father issues, childhood trauma. He is disappointed that this is what is in his subconscious. But Tony realizes something, that he has spent his entire life worried about how the world sees him. Now, it's time to remake himself, to truly change things.
It's Iron Man redemption arc, bro. It's his redemption arc, bro. Come on, bro.
He flies back down to the mansion and through the mirror, floating once again in the vastness of space. He promises that before he begins his work, he will return to the world ship and see his friends. Let them know that he is okay. But in reality, as we know it, Korvac is floating through space. But he too has touched the power cosmic and becomes once again a god. He begins to glow, preparing to start his mission to remake the entire universe. About that, a voice calls to him. Korvac looks up in anger and surprise. "You!" he hisses. Tony nods his head, now shining in his new god armor. "Yes, me. Good morning," he says with a wave of his hand. Within moments, the two massive gods are fighting, destroying planets with the clash of their blows, wiping out stars and destroying whole systems. "You won't stop me!" Korvac bellows. But Tony shakes his head and hits him with an energy blast. "Looks like I'm the only one who can," he says. But Korvac slams into him, pushing him through space. But Tony knocks him away, hitting him with a cosmic unibeam, telling Korvac how disappointed he is in his limited ideas for godhood. But Korvac grabs a hold of a planet and throws it at Tony, destroying it and the millions of life forms that called it home. "Do you even feel what you just did? How many have you killed?" Tony asks him as they continue to grapple. "How many more will you kill?" Tony continues. Korvac glares at him as he avoids another blow. "If you stand aside now, I promise to make it only one more," he shouts. But Tony has a better idea. He uses his power to tear into another universe and throws Korvac in it. "What is this place?" Korvac asks, feeling nothing but death in this universe. "This is the only place you deserve to be the master of. Enjoy the company of ghosts," Tony says. "It's so cold here, the nothingness," Korvac says, still showing fear in his eyes. But the pair look up as the living tribunal speaks to them, now surrounded by the other great cosmic powers of the universe. "This battle ceases now," the living tribunal says. They take hold of Korvac. "You have disturbed the universal balance. You will come with us," they say. But the others look to Tony, questioning what they should do with him. "I don't want to fight any of you, but I will if I have to," he says. But instead, they wish to see what he will do, if his actions will bring about the desired outcome. "Go, live your destiny. We will be watching. Always," the cosmic beings state. Tony nods and turns to return to his universe. "Hear that, Korvac? My new special project just got the green light. Sorry yours has been canceled," Tony gloats. Korvac glares at him. "I have a new project. You. You are now my sole focus, Tony Stark," he whispers. Time passes. The other heroes of Tony's space friends have returned to Earth, where their various wounds have healed. As they all sit down to lunch and catch up, it's Jim Hammond who finally brings up the elephant in the room. "We might want to discuss what's more pressing. Cosmic Iron Man," he says to everyone. Rhodey and Patsy both agree. While they both love Tony, giving him the powers of a god is the worst thing for the universe and for him as a person. As if on cue, the world begins to rumble around them. The heroes stand up and stare, watching as a massive cosmic Iron Man descends from the sky. "Don't be afraid," Tony says to the civilians as they rush away in fear. "Hey boss, you're scaring some of the nice people out here," War Machine says as the heroes have suited up and flown to meet Tony. "Guys, long time no see, huh? I take your point, Rhodey. How about this?" Tony says as he shrinks down to a normal size. He looks at everyone gathered around him. "I gotta say, it's really great to see my space friends again. Glad you made it back," he tells them. But before they can talk more, the mighty Avengers arrive. Captain America lands in front of Tony. "Tony, it's good to see you," Steve says. Reed rushes forward, asking if Korvac is still a threat. But Tony quickly explains everything that happened, and that Korvac has been taken care of. "What about you? Are you a threat?" Steve asks. But Tony explains that he is here to use his powers to help everyone, that he doesn't want to change the world like Korvac did without the people's choices or opinions. So instead, his plan is to raise the intellect of everyone on the planet to that of his own, so that they can fix everything themselves, so that they can come up with their own solutions. "It can be shared as a gift," he says. "Okay, this is gonna be a problem," Patsy whispers to Rhodey. "Yep," he says with a nod. The others try to talk him out of his idea, but Tony shakes his head. "It's too late. It's done. You're all as brilliant as I am now, and so is every living person in this city," Tony tells them. Everyone looks at Reed, who frowns. I actually think I just became dumber," he says quietly.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That's the most disrespectful shit I ever heard in comics, bro. Nigga, Iron Man said, "Bro, I'm finna make everybody as smart as me." That nigga Reed Richards said, "I actually feel fucking dumber." Yo, I ain't gonna lie, if I was Iron Man, bro, and I heard that shit, bro, I would disintegrate his ass, bro. You got to, bro. That motherfucker said, "I actually feel dumber." That's fucking crazy, bro.
Around the city, everyone's lives immediately begin to change. Everyone now has the ability to fully articulate what they are thinking and feeling. Children begin to think about humanity's place in the whole universe. Problems are immediately solved. But this goes for everyone, including the villains. Realizing that Tony's plan can cause more harm than good for both the city and himself, Patsy has no choice. She goes to the one man that she thinks might still be able to outsmart Iron Man. It is during the night that she meets with him on the rooftop of a building. I don't want to hurt him. I want to save him, she says. And Dr. Doom steps from the shadows. I make no promises or guarantees, only that I will demote this Iron God back down to an Iron Man.
Yeah, that's some
one way
answer,
or another,
that's some Doom-ass
he
answer,
promises. Days pass and the city begins to change. The police have all quit their jobs and begun to focus on space travel. The city's landfills have begun to be converted into a new energy source by the dock workers. School test scores have skyrocketed, and several common citizens have turned to a life of brilliant crime. Tony has had no choice but to build a special prison to hold these super geniuses and lower their intelligence once again. Patsy watches all of this unfold on the news in her apartment, while Doom sits nearby. He's causing utter havoc. You're doing the right thing, Doom tells her as he flips through a magazine. But the rest of her guests arrive, and she gathers the pizzas she's bought for the event. Is the spell in place? She asks Doom. He nods. She leads him outside where the rest of the space friends are not happy to see him. But Patsy explains to them that they need to stop Tony and return him to his regular self. She believes that Doom is capable of doing this. The discussion turns into a shouting match until someone calls from above them. "Why such conflict?" Silver Surfer asks as he floats down. He looks at Patsy. "Hellcat, I heard the faint echoes of your thoughts searching for my assistance. What do you need from the Silver Surfer's powers?" he asks. Meanwhile, Tony is sitting in a meeting with government officials. He has returned to his human form so as not to upset them, but he is growing sick of the same old arguments. People who think that he should do more or are just asking for more things. He finally waves his hand, and everyone simply begins to agree with him, telling him that everything he is doing is great. Tony knows that they are just telling him what he wants to hear, but he doesn't care. He just needs them to agree with him so that he can set everything up. He finally stands. "Thanks, everybody. I'm gonna take off," he says, listening to their claps as he walks out of the room. He heads to Patsy's apartment, where he walks through the door. "Hey, I smell pizza," he calls out. Patsy looks back at the gathering of heroes. "Remember, act agreeable. That's his new thing," she tells them. And he comes out onto the patio. "Hey, there he is, the man himself," Patsy says, a big smile on her face. "Man, you look so great," she says as she rushes and gives him a big hug. Tony looks at her. "Well, I know you're saying that because you have to," Tony says, and everyone laughs and agrees with him. Tony grabs a slice of pizza, asking if Patsy truly believes that he is doing the right thing. "Tony, you're doing great," she says. But Tony keeps pressing the matter, making her repeat herself. "That means a lot. I don't know how I could do this otherwise, you know?" he tells her. "That means a lot. I don't know how I could do this otherwise, you know?" he tells her. Above them, Silver Surfer and Dr. Doom watch. "Alas, the pizza party has ended," Doom sighs. Tony looks at Patsy with shock. "You were faking it? All of you?" Tony asks her. Patsy nods. "It's all fake. Everything you're doing," she says. Tony begins to get angry. His eyes begin to glow with the power cosmic. But the Silver Surfer flies down and hits him with a blast of energy. Doom appears next, gloating that Tony's power could be stopped by simple magic. Tony whirls on his friends, who have begun to activate the device that Doom brought to siphon the power cosmic. "Oh, I see. You want me gone, huh? You trust me that little?" Tony asks. But Patsy shakes her head. "We don't want you gone. We want you back," she tells him. But Tony whirls on Doom, using his power to blast him out of the universe. The Surfer descends on him. "Stark,
Damn.
you must cease this," he shouts. But Tony looks up and blasts him until the Surfer is just a puddle of silver. Frogman is next, followed by Gargoyle. The others blast at Tony, trying to stop him. Jim suddenly falls to the ground. Halcyon's heart is finally sped up until he has a heart attack. And then Rhodey is all that remains. "You've lost your damn mind. Stop this. Stop all of this. I'm begging you," Rhodey tells him. But Tony transforms into the Iron God again, telling Rhodey that he is not afraid to fix everything. Rhodey tries to punch at Tony, but the Iron God catches it and punches him so hard that his neck snaps. Tony stares down at his fallen friend, suddenly aware of what he has done. He looks around at all those that he has just killed. The mask falls away to reveal Tony's face, and tears begin to fall from his eyes, and he turns to look at Patsy. "I guess it's my turn, huh? At least I'll go out a hero and a friend," she says. But Tony just falls to his knees in front of her.
Man, that's crazy.
The Iron God armor disappears, and it is just Tony kneeling before her now. She reaches out and puts her hands on the side of his head. "Tony, we need to talk," she says. And in the blink of an eye, they stand in a long wheat field. Tony is shocked, recognizing the field from when he was a kid, and he looks at Patsy. I know, I killed them, but I can bring them back. It's easy with my power. I can even make it so they won't remember. It'll be like it never happened, he tells her. But Patsy shakes her head. But it did happen. You did this, she says. They talk for a while, working through Tony's personal problems. And finally, Patsy looks to her friend. Bring them back, but let them remember what you did. That way, you won't forget it either, she tells him. And Tony finally nods. Yeah, okay, he says quietly. He goes to each of them and tells them that he's sorry and apologizes for what he did, until he gets to Dune. Anyway, no hard feelings, he says. And with that done, he raises his hand again and releases the power cosmic into the universe once more, becoming nothing more than a mortal man. He takes one final look at Patsy before leaving. I'm sorry, Patsy, for everything, he tells her. He walks through the city until he finds himself in Central Park, but his body is weak. He had become addicted to the morphine in his system before he had become the Iron God.
Bro, you ain't heal
and when he
yourself?
returned himself to his mortal form, he didn't purge it from his system. He collapsed to the ground, sweat dripping from his face as he goes into withdrawal. But there is a bright light, and suddenly, Korvac is leaning over his body. Stark! The cosmic god bellows. He smiles as he tells Tony that he had the most brilliant idea for a peaceful universe. A place where death reigns, and so there is no life. He gloats as he explains that he killed the Living Tribunal, intent on killing Stark first in his grand scheme. But Tony doesn't respond, and Korvac becomes surprised. Stark? He whispers. He grabs Tony's shirt and lifts him up, slapping him in the face until he looks at him finally. Tony weakly smiles at his enemy. Hey, Big Mike, what brings you to this side of town? He asks quietly. Korvac glares at him, repeating that he will bring utter silence to the universe. That's how I will achieve harmony. That's how I will achieve peace. By silencing it all into nothing.
Let me tell you something, bro. You ain't killed the Living Tribunal, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I know, like you ain't killed no Living Tribunal, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. The power of Cosmo, bro. The power you got from Galactus shit, bro. Even if you had Galactus powers, bro, you not being a Living Tribunal, bro. Even if you had a multiverse of Galactuses, bro, you not being a Living Tribunal, bro. Hey, you probably still wouldn't be top 10 in a multiverse, bro. In the kind of cosmic entities, bro. You not, bro. That's a reach, bro.
Okay, Tony says before turning and vomiting into the grass. Have to admit, there's an elegance in that. Simple, he gasps. Korvac demands to know what is happening. And Tony explains that the withdrawals are killing him as his system shuts down. He looks up at Korvac, asking how long it has been since he was just a man. Not an android or a robot or a cosmic god. Asking him how long it has been since he was afraid of anything. What I'm saying, Michael, is stop hiding. Be a man for once in your life. Try it, Tony says. Korvac glares at him for a moment before the power cosmic is released from his body. For once, he stands before Tony as a mortal man. And with a roar of anger, he lashes out at Tony, hitting him again and again until Tony falls to the ground in a bloody mess. But Korvac pauses. What is happening to you? Korvac asks. I'm probably gonna die. If you don't kill me first, Tony tells him. Korvac looks at his sworn enemy before looking up into the vastness of space above them. Finally, He picks Tony up and carries him away, bringing him to the hospital where he leaves him in the emergency room. With that done, he finds a tall building and stares up at the night sky before stepping off and plummeting to the earth below. 1 week later, Patsy picks Tony up at his brown.
The story ended with suicide? That's how they beat the main guy? Reverse, like the craziest rage bait, and then suicide? I hate you so fucking much. What's happening to you? Shit, I'm dying from withdrawal. Damn, man. I'll help you, man. Then kill yourself? That's how you wrap up a story? That's crazy. Iron Man stories are always wild, bro. But damn, that's the craziest ending. That's the craziest ending in comic book history, bro.
Stone. You ready? She asks as she looks at the bag in his arms, and he nods. Yeah, let's hit it, he says. They drive an hour outside the city, and they finally arrive at the rehab center that Tony has booked himself. You want me to come in with you? She asks him quietly. But he shakes his head and tells her that he needs to start this himself. They hug each other, and he pulls away. You mind picking me up when I'm done? He asks her. And she smiles. I'd love to, she tells him. And he thanks her. Good, because you're my only choice, he says. Tony walks into the rehab center, where he is shown to his room. The nurse tells him that he already has some mail. He picks up the letter and reads it. Hey Tony, just thinking of you. You can do this. Your friend, Frogman, the letter says. Tony smiles and looks out the window, ready to start his road to recovery. And there you have it. I personally thought this was a cool run, especially with that crazy ending and how it changed Tony Stark to his friends. What did you guys think of this story? What do you wish they kept around? Let us know in the comments down below.
That was definitely a crazy fucking ending, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like, a crazy ending was definitely the crazy ending of a comic book story, bro. I don't think there's a comic book story, bro, with a crazier ending than that, bro. Nah, but that's an unexpected ass ending, bro. That shit's crazy.
Like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
And with that, I'm gonna see you next time. Like my boy said, R.I.P. Benny, man. Rest in peace, Benny, man. Long live the GOAT, man.